Our planet faces a crisis of our own making. Plastic pollution has reached every corner of the Earth. From the deepest ocean trenches to the Arctic ice caps, plastic is everywhere. This enduring material, once hailed as a marvel of modern science, now threatens the delicate balance of our natural world. We have become alarmingly dependent on single-use plastics. These disposable items, used briefly and then discarded, are choking our ecosystems. Every year, millions of tons of plastic enter our oceans. This plastic debris takes hundreds of years to decompose. It breaks down into smaller and smaller pieces, but it never truly disappears. The consequences of our plastic addiction are far-reaching and devastating. We must act now to stem the tide of plastic pollution. The future of our planet depends on it. Plastic pollution is not just an environmental issue. It is a global crisis. It impacts every living thing on Earth. We have a collective responsibility to address this problem. We must reduce our reliance on single-use plastics. Let us choose to protect our planet, not pollute it. The 20th century witnessed the rise of plastic as a ubiquitous material. Its versatility, durability, and low cost revolutionized manufacturing and consumer products. From packaging to construction, from healthcare to electronics, plastic quickly became indispensable. However, the very properties that made plastic so attractive, its durability and resistance to degradation, have come back to haunt us. Plastic's long lifespan in the environment means that every piece ever produced still exists today in some form. This has led to a global plastic pollution crisis of staggering proportions. The production of plastic has increased exponentially over the past few decades. This surge in production has overwhelmed our ability to manage plastic waste effectively. As a result, plastic waste has infiltrated every corner of the planet, from our oceans to our food chain. Marine animals are entangled in plastic debris or ingest it, mistaking it for food. Seabirds, turtles, whales, and countless other species are suffering. We must rethink our relationship with this ubiquitous material. It is time to move away from our disposable culture and embrace sustainable alternatives. The future of our planet depends on our ability to break free from our plastic addiction. Our oceans, once teeming with life, are now drowning in a sea of plastic. Every year, millions of tons of plastic waste find their way into our oceans, transported by rivers, winds, and ocean currents. This plastic debris accumulates in massive garbage patches, swirling gyres of plastic waste that span thousands of miles. The largest of these, the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, is estimated to contain over 1.8 trillion pieces of plastic. Marine animals are especially vulnerable to plastic pollution. Sea turtles often mistake plastic bags for jellyfish, a staple of their diet. Ingesting plastic can block their digestive tracts, leading to starvation. Seabirds, too, are at risk, often feeding plastic pieces to their chicks, mistaking them for food. Marine mammals, such as seals and whales, can become entangled in discarded fishing nets and plastic ropes, leading to injury, suffocation, or drowning. We must protect our oceans from the scourge of plastic pollution. The health of our oceans is intrinsically linked to our own well-being. They provide us with food, regulate our climate, and generate oxygen. Plastic pollution is not just an environmental disaster. It is a threat to our own survival. The time for complacency is over. The time for action is now. While the sight of plastic bottles and bags polluting our oceans is alarming, a more insidious threat lurks beneath the surface: microplastics. These tiny plastic particles, less than 5 millimeters in size, are often invisible to the naked eye. They result from the breakdown of larger plastic debris, as well as from microbeads found in personal care products. Microplastics have infiltrated every level of the marine food web. Filter-feeding animals, such as oysters and mussels, ingest microplastics along with their food. These microplastics then accumulate in their tissues, potentially causing harm. As larger predators consume these contaminated animals, microplastics move up the food chain, eventually reaching our plates. Studies have found microplastics in seafood, sea salt, and even drinking water. The long-term health effects of microplastic ingestion on humans are still being studied. The presence of microplastics in our food and water is a cause for serious concern. These tiny particles can act as vectors for harmful chemicals, absorbing pollutants from the surrounding environment. When ingested, microplastics and the chemicals they carry can potentially disrupt endocrine function, cause inflammation, and even lead to cellular damage. It is no longer just a problem for marine life. It is a problem for all of us. We must reduce our reliance on single-use plastics and support the development of biodegradable alternatives.